This is Crash Cannon. I am the host, Chris, and I have yet another guest today. And he needs no introduction, but we're going to let him give one anyways. Who are you, Adrian?
Hello, I am Adrian, and I run the YouTube channel called SIPS with SERRA, where I talk about the Catholic faith, why it's true, and why you should be Catholic, and yeah, try to have fun with it.
Yeah, I was very close to calling this stream apologetics and chill, but I thought that the connotation with Netflix wasn't a good idea. But either way, I mean, he has probably some of the, I'll say, chillest apologetics of any person in the Catholic community that I've seen. I mean, he keeps things very laid back and expresses very strong parts of our faith to people who need to hear it. And I do appreciate that. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate being on here.
Yeah, looking forward to this conversation. For those that don't know, the first time I ever interacted with Adrian was actually in Kyle's server, but the first time I experienced his content was when he went live during the Papal Conclave, which was really cool. Did I say that right? I did say that right. Yeah.
Yep.
So how did you come up with that idea? Like, how did you even end up doing that? Like, what led to that stream?
Yeah, so for context, I was streaming. I was like streaming kind of on and off during the Papal Conclave just because I was excited. Anytime there was smoke set to be released, I was like, I want to see what happens. And then I just got so like I was glued to my laptop anyways, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a stream, and I'm just gonna title it, streaming until we have a pope. And so I it ended up not being true, but I did go for quite a while. I think we went for like 7 hours at one point. And then it was actually, I believe, the following day after that when we actually got the white smoke. And then I went live for that. And it was just such a fun time because, like, it's my first, the first time I'm witnessing a papal conclave as a Catholic. I witnessed, when the news broke about Pope Francis getting chosen, I wasn't a Catholic. I didn't really care. And so I saw the news about it, but I was like, whatever, who cares? So this was my first time like fully experiencing one, and it was exciting, and I wanted to go live and like experience it with everybody and not just be in my room by myself watching the news essentially. So I just thought it'd be a fun way to experience the whole thing, and
It
it
is
was.
odd to think just how many people were watching uh, for white smoke in the Vatican. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
what are the chances that Protestants are interested in Catholicism, except during the papal elections and all that? They're always interested because the whole world kind of stops and waits. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
everybody realizes that the Pope is a figure that has sway, has influence on the world, even if he doesn't have what we would consider like political influence or the ability to directly govern like countries or whatever in a political manner. But we do recognize that what the Pope says, like, matters, and so who the Pope is matters. And I think that people can act like that isn't relevant until there's a new Pope being elected. They're like, all right, I kind of want to tune in and see what's going on.
Yeah, and I have to say, of all the streams that were going on, almost like everybody's like doing guessing and doing this and that. No, Adrian's just kind of watching and waiting with us and having conversations, and that I really appreciated that because there
Yeah.
was so many negative Nancy's streaming during the election, and it was nice to have a positive, some positive corner of the internet to turn to where we weren't just dooming and glooming.
Yeah, I didn't well, I don't even watch I don't watch a lot of YouTube in general, and I don't watch those types of streams in general because it's just like, why do I want to be upset? Like, why do I want to be sad about the church? Unless it's something true. Like, if there's something truly bad, but to just sit here and speculate about, well, this horrible thing is likely or possibly or maybe it's going to happen. I don't know. Okay, well, let's wait until it's actually happening and then we can freak out about it. But for now, let's see the good things that might happen. So, I'm glad that it was a positive thing for people. It was fun, man. I was just like, this is such a crazy time to be alive.
Yeah, and what did your live stream get up to when you were doing that? Like I mean, there was like at least a few hundred, if
Oof.
not 1,000 plus, right?
Man, I wish I remembered it. It was, yeah, it had to be like in the hundreds, maybe close to, or maybe at one point we passed 1,000. I could probably go back in the stats and find it. It would take some time, so I don't want to do it now. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you started the year with probably less than half of the subscribers you currently have. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
You're
Yeah,
doing
it's
pretty good numbers these days. I mean, my goodness, you're killing it.
thanks, man. I'm trying over here.
Have you noticed any I know you did that video where you're talking about how you're going to try and avoid Protestant apologetics for at least a brief period of time. Did you see any positive uh, results from going towards more of a Islam apologetics to Catholicism?
Numbers wise, yeah, there's actually a much larger audience for that kind of apologetics or polemics, if you want to call it that, than there is for the niche of like Catholic versus Protestant stuff. Because especially in Europe and in the UK, there's a huge conflict going on between like Western countries and Muslim migrants who come into those countries and try to impose Islam on those countries. So the people in those countries are like hungry for these types of this type of content essentially. So it was really good for numbers. I mean, any given week I was having videos that were just like, oh, this video did 50K. That's insane. Um, and then now back in Protestant land, it's like, oh, I'm glad it got up to 5K. So numbers wise, that stuff is definitely much more consistent, and like the numbers are great. But man, I was just so disappointed with the the intellectual, the level of debate going on over there in that side of the internet. Because I thought, I'm coming into this new realm of apologetics that I am not familiar with. So there's going to be new arguments that I've never encountered before, and all these things. And it was just like, why do you guys believe that God pooped? Because you believe God became man, so you believe God pooped, and I'm just like, all right, guys, like this is the level of discourse, like this isn't that deep. And so I was in there for a few months. I was doing that type of content for a few months, and then I was just feeling like, um, I don't know, like I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels, and particularly with Islam, people who are especially have been raised in Islam, um, the ability, like we have far less common ground with them, and there's less of a willingness for them to hear arguments from the other side, because according to that worldview, even if all of the evidence and logic points to Islam being false, they're still going to hold on to Islam because they don't really believe in reason or philosophy. They just believe in like this is God's truth, and even if reality looks to be contrary to this, it's because God is testing our faith, and so I'm still going to hold on to it. So it's just a really kind of a dreadful area of the internet to be in, to be honest.
I believe that. I mean, I've seen some of, not that I'm necessarily recommending Sam Shamoon, but I've seen some of his live stream chats, and they go
Mhm.
nuts. I mean, I completely can see why he has some of the responses that he does to some of these people, because they go crazy. But
Yeah.
one thing I think people are ignoring, and I appreciated you heading into this direction, at least briefly, because with Islam coming into the West in such large numbers and having access to both European and American internet, this might be the first time they've ever been exposed to Catholicism.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, and oftentimes the people who like the Christians who Muslims come across are oftentimes, if not always, like 90% of the time it's going to be Protestants
Yeah.
who are out there on the street corners with their megaphones or whatever. And so oftentimes when you do see Muslims convert to Christianity, it's often in the form of Protestantism. And that was another reason that I wanted to kind of get out there, because I was like, there's really no, well, there are, but there's, the Catholic voices that are reaching out to Muslims are certainly outnumbered by the Protestant voices. And I think that it's important that those who convert from Islam to Christianity convert to the fullness of Christianity, which is
Yeah.
Catholicism. So hopefully my
Yeah.
content helped make that happen. I didn't hear from any Muslims, by the way, who were like, hey, I converted because of your content. So maybe it was a waste of 3 months or 4 months, but it's fine.
So where would you say the direction of your channel is headed at this point then?
At the moment, it's I mean, we're back in Protestant land, and I'm hearing more and more from Catholics that I don't really know how to put this, but essentially, there's a lot of Catholics who just in their normal life consume Catholic content online who feel like they're not good Catholics because they don't know as much head knowledge as the Catholics they see on YouTube. And so I think that there's I don't know, like I'm kind of thinking through this recently, so I'm probably not putting this as articulately as I could, but there seems to be this emphasis on head knowledge and a desire for more knowledge, where
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't getting the practical or like the practical aspects of the faith of like, okay, like I understand that, you know, the papacy and the council of whatever, and okay, so the council of Florence, and there was almost a reunion with the Orthodox. Okay, cool, but like, how often do I need to go to confession? Like stuff like that. So I'm trying to balance those two things because they're both important, obviously. But I think that if people don't know, just like, okay, I'm convinced of Catholicism now, how do I be Catholic? Then if we don't serve people who are asking that question, then we're doing a disservice as well.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, when you go back to like medieval Catholicism, it's interesting because the Pope actually had to make it. You had to go to up to communion at least twice a year for Christmas and Easter, which is why confession is required at those 2 times of the year, because
Yeah.
there was enough people who didn't feel like they were in a state of grace to go receive communion, and thus the Pope said, "Well, we need you guys to have that at least twice a year, okay? we can't have all of you being so scrupulous that you're not going to go up for communion at least twice a year." So I do think
Yeah.
everyday Catholics need those kinds of informational videos for sure.
Yeah. So I actually just today recorded a video of like, just some basics of like, what are some things you should be doing as a Catholic?
Yeah.
And like including things that are required, and then also things that are just like not required, but are pretty universally recognized among Catholics as good practices, like praying the rosary, going to adoration, and just some details around those things, what that looks like, and
Yeah.
why you should do that, the benefits of it and such. So
Awesome. Yeah. So I don't want to skip over Haley's question here because it is an interesting one. Who threats to, and I'm going to say it the way she wrote it, unalive you more, the Protestants or the Muslims?
I gotta say, thank God, I have received 0 threats thus
That's
far
good.
from either Protestants or Muslims. Muslims were like, they would give me a lot of like, God is going to strike you down, essentially, like that kind of language, but they would never say that they were going to do that. So I was like, okay, well, I appreciate that.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, if it depends where you are as well. Like if you go on X and you say, "Hey, I think Mary's kind of cool," you're gonna get Protestants in there who are like, "You're going to hell, bro. You're an idolater," and it's so depending on where you go, the rhetoric of either group can be very similar, unfortunately.
To be fair, any like super Catholic opinion on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days, will net you a lot of angry comments.
That is very true.
I can think of a few accounts that attract the most, but that's not why we're here.
Right.
I guess that's a good question though. So you primarily do YouTube. You don't. I mean, you also have the Instagram Reels. You do have an X account. Where would you say you see the most traffic as a Catholic online personality?
The most traffic, I mean, X is, as far as videos go, YouTube is, especially for long form, YouTube is unmatched. But for if I just have like some random thing I want to say and I post it on X, it's going to get a lot more interaction than it would anywhere else. And even actually, I had a video recently about purgatory, and as of right now, that has like 17,000 views on X, and on YouTube, it's far less than that. So depending on the type of content, I think X can be a lot more traffic for sure.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's good to know. X is interesting because it didn't used to have easy monetization, and now it kind of does.
Right.
I mean, it requires quite a bit of numbers. Like you got to be doing some serious interactions and engagement, but it's there
Yeah, I'm
for
not
people
there
that can
yet.
figure it out.
Yep.
Here we go. One question from the audience that we'll do, and then we'll get into something else. We got actually 2, but I'll do this one first. Ask Adrian about why he grows so much basil in his office.
I just love the smell of Italian herbs. So yeah,
All right.
that's it.
And then this is another good point, though. There's people that still don't go to confession because they went 11 months ago. That's racking up a lot of potential sins there, unless you're very perfect.
Yeah, Saint Padre Pio said that we should be going once a week, which he said even if you don't have any mortal sins, just go once a week, which is I think solid advice. I certainly don't go once a week. I should. I used to go once a week, but now I go maybe once a month. That's
Yeah,
been
I feel pretty awful if I don't go at least once a month. That's
same,
not to say
same.
everybody has to, but they probably should.
Yeah, and it's just so beautiful. Like I feel like people dread it or something, but it's actually a really a wonderful experience because you get to go tell a priest how much of an idiot you are, and then the priest gets to tell you that you're forgiven. And it's just like, oof, like I just told a priest and God all of the worst things I did this week or this month, and I was told I was forgiven. Like that's a great feeling. And then the spiritual graces that you receive are amazing as well. Um, Father Carlos Martins, the exorcist, who runs the podcast Exorcist Files, says that the power of one exorcism is more than the power of the power of one confession rather is the power of more than 1,000 exorcisms. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, receiving absolution is something that Protestants can't even touch because there's very few actual Protestants who practice anything remotely close to confession.
Yep.
And even if they do practice it, most of them probably don't have the office to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Virtually none of them.
Other than like, there's a few like schismatic sects that you could argue apostolic succession, and then they'd still be out of
Right.
communion with Rome. But
Yeah.
I do want to address this. I do like Sam. I know he's got some issues and stuff, but that's not why we're here. But I do like. I don't have any problems with Sam personally. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Same.
So,
I love Sam. He's great.
all right, let's see here. All right, let's get into some other stuff then. I know you've addressed a lot of this on Pints of the Aquinas, but we still got to at least cover some of it.
Let's do it.
How did you become Catholic? Because that's not been your whole life.
No, it hasn't been. Yeah, I was raised non-denominational, became atheist for nearly 10 years, and then thanks to the prayers of my grandparents, came back to non-denomination land, and then it was through looking into church history, and it was really around the time that I was going to get baptized. I came back to a Calvary Chapel church because that's kind of what I knew. That's what I left when I became an atheist, so I came back to that. And I was going to get baptized, and I was like, I don't fully understand what baptism is. And I wasn't familiar with any of like the scriptural texts that touched on baptism, or at least I had ignored them or whatever, brushed over them.
Sure.
But everyone around me was saying like baptism doesn't save you, so I was like, okay, I guess this is just like a nice thing to do because it shows that you've converted or something. So
And that
that's
was
cool.
before Braden put out his music video to tell you all about it.
Yeah, if I would have had Braden's music video back then, it would have been a no-brainer. I would have been a Catholic much sooner. Um, so I get baptized, and I'm like reading about different theological topics because I'm interested in this stuff. And I came across Gavin Ortland's book, Theological Retrieval for Evangelicals, and he talks about some of the historical beliefs around the Eucharist and baptism and these other things. And I was like, it just like didn't strike me to ever think that Christianity looked different from Calvary Chapel in modern day.
Right.
So I was like, wait, I thought all of Christianity was just this forever. I didn't think that there was some different version of Christianity. So I looked into church history. I was like, it kind of seems like the Bible says baptism actually saves you. It kind of seems like the Bible says that the Eucharist is really the body and blood of Christ. Seems like my church changed a lot of things, so I'm going to go and look into this stuff. And I was actually gonna join an OCIA, or at that time RCIA program at a nearby Catholic parish, but because my family had such a strong reaction against it, I was like, maybe they're right, and maybe there's something I'm missing here. So I'm gonna take some time and just I'll go find a different version of Protestantism that affirms the things that I now believe. So I became a Lutheran for a couple of years, and then it really was
Which
the Marian
specific
dogmas,
Lutheran synod were you part of?
the not gay one, the LCMS.
Is that the Missouri Synod?
Yeah.
So same as like Ruby and my buddy who converted. Actually, that's cool.
Yep. Yep. I loved it. It was great. It was beautiful. The liturgy was beautiful. Like there were some LCMS churches that I avoided because they were like still kind of like the liturgies were pretty modern still, and the preaching was
Yeah.
kind of whack. And there was one even that only did the Eucharist, or the Eucharist every other week. And so I was like, why are you doing that? That doesn't make sense. So there was certainly
because
still some
they have a
liturgical
belief in
issues. There was certainly
because
still some
they have a
liturgical
belief in
issues.
the Missouri Synod, if I'm not mistaken, is the one that very much affirms their consubstantiation belief,
Yep.
which is such an interesting and very slightly different from transubstantiation belief.
Hmm.
I've had a lot of conversations with one of my buddies who converted from that to Catholicism, and in their minds, it's the same thing. But obviously, when you define it, it comes out to a different thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad because it's such a small difference that we could definitely find agreement on if we just like hashed it out a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was a great time there. I learned a lot, and I really got deep into theology. But it was, like I've said elsewhere, the Marian dogmas that started to make more and more sense to me. I had been praying the rosary for a long time at that point. And then confession was another one. I was like, the early church really seems to think that confession needs to happen to a priest in like in a particular setting, not just like
yeah.
the Lutheran view is like the confession at the beginning of the liturgy is all the confession that you need to make. So I was like, I don't think that's how the early church saw it. I'm not seeing that generally. Um, so there were just like some things that I was like, this isn't really the fullness of the historic church that I wanted to be a part of. So I made the full dive into that church. Almost 2 years ago now. I was confirmed almost 2 years ago. It was Easter of 2024.
And do you have any particular liturgical preferences? Are you Eastern, Biz? Are you old school Latin? Are you Novus Ordo? Do you have a liturgical preference?
I mean, I gotta say, I do prefer the Latin Mass,
Okay.
but for practical reasons, I do go to a Reverent Novus Ordo, which it is sad that we have to make that distinction because all of the Novus Ordos should be reverent, but unfortunately they're not.
To be fair, I will say this: the young priests coming up in the Novus Ordo that are forced to or want to say the Novus Ordo, because some of them are forced, some of them want to.
It's true.
Huge difference between them, but not that really. When it comes to a Reverent Novus Ordo, if you get a TLM loving young priest, they will have a Reverent Novus Ordo, and if you get a young priest who just loves the Mass anyways, you'll get a Reverent Novus Ordo.
Yep.
I think anytime you see a young priest, it's probably 90% likely they're going to have a Reverent Mass.
True. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. So I try to, you know, like I know that actually there's been some discourse on X lately about whether or not you should drive to a further parish because of liturgical or community preferences. And I definitely drive to a slightly further parish, but that's not far. But it's like instead of 5 minutes, it's like 15 minutes. So, but it's because the parishes that are closer to me don't have a reverent liturgy, and I really, really like. I don't want to hear an acoustic guitar in my mass. I'm very sorry, but that
I
is
can't
that is
stand
going to be
acoustic
like nails on
guitar.
a chalkboard for me every single time.
I mean, does it remind you of non-denom a lot or not really?
No, it actually reminds me of Lutheranism because in Lutheranism, the whacker liturgies that I went to were very like modern, and
Okay.
so I just but it was the same structure, but it was just modern and whatever. But so I'm just like, nah, I can't. I'm sorry.
I have to say there's a lot of interesting things that more modern churches, especially even in the Catholic Church, have chosen to do. Like there's a giant resurrection Jesus crucifix. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say the
Yeah,
resurrection Jesus in a
yeah,
Catholic church near me? And I'm just like, if it wasn't for that, this church would be beautiful. Like
yeah.
that is just an odd thing to have, because like below it is a much smaller crucifix on the altar, and I'm like, that should be the big one.
It's way beautiful. Yeah, way more
It's like,
beautiful for sure. It's yeah. I don't know what like that's yeah. I don't know what the history is around the resurrection Jesus thing, but I prefer the crucifix. Just
depending on which, so like there are, when it comes to naming a church for like whatever the patron saint of that church is, where some different types of Jesus representations make sense, but this one
okay,
makes no sense. The
okay.
resurrection Jesus doesn't work for this particular church. I'll just put it that way. It's just odd.
Yeah,
I don't think it's always
yeah.
been there either. I think that was a more recent addition to this church, because this is an old
Oh,
church,
yeah. Okay, yeah. It's got to be recent then.
but it's huge.
Yeah,
They spent
but
a lot of
I
money on it.
ooh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But I will say I would rather go to if I had the choice between, a super based Presbyterian liturgy with a super based pastor, whatever they call their people, and like super dope art and whatever, versus acoustic guitar, harmonica, cringe boomer, uh, Catholic mass. I'm choosing the cringe boomer Catholic mass every single time
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to go where the
because
truth is. Yeah.
you have to go where the Eucharist is because you have to go where Jesus is. And so,
Yeah.
like, I see a lot of times online people who are in like high church Protestant denominations where they do have like beautiful liturgies, Anglicanism, beautiful liturgies
Yeah.
oftentimes. But man, you don't have the Eucharist. It's such a bummer.
Yeah. And even if they did, they're not in communion with Rome, which is it's a slight against them
Also a
regardless,
bummer.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guitar thing that gets me though. I can't stand the guitar.
Yeah,
It
there's
drives
no
me
way.
nuts. It's such a boomer thing. Like you don't if you have a young priest who's in charge of the music at his parish and actually like, in charge, you don't see that. You really just don't. But somebody pointed out to me, and this is true, that at the temple it is documented. We're talking like the temple the time of Jesus, they had stringed instruments. So I'll grit and bear it for mass if I have to.
Yeah. All right. I bet they were
Now
cooler stringed instruments than guitars.
we had like the harp. I mean, David was very very into
A
the
harp would be
harp, and
dope.
yeah.
I'd be okay with a harp.
The acoustic guitar is a newer invention. There's probably something like that probably existed, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's been pointed out to me by music ministers that the organ, because it kind of resembles the way that the voice actually is portrayed when you sing, that would be the most appropriate instrument for any church service, period.
Ooh. I could see that. I love a good organ.
As long as it's not like the electric rock guitar organ, because those
No.
exist.
No, I've never come across that. Thank God I've never come across that.
There's
horrible.
one church where it's like almost like a distorted guitar sound coming out of an organ, and I'm like, why?
Oh,
Why is this a thing?
illegal.
Should be. Absolutely. I also don't like drums in church. It's just something about like
No.
just the pounding noises. Like, no, I already hear enough
Yeah.
wobbly knees when people kneel on these old kneelers. I don't need to hear the drums too.
Yeah, there needs to be none of that. There's no reason for that.
So you said the Marian dogmas were part of what convinced you that Catholicism was true?
Yep.
You want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, phew, I actually, this sounds crazy, but well, maybe it doesn't. I truly believe that like Mary, because I had been praying the rosary, I believe that Mary was bringing me to the Catholic Church. I know whatever
I
people
think
are
she
going to, like,
does.
Protestants are going to cringe. I mean, as a Catholic, of course, we think that's
Yeah.
duh.
Right.
But Protestants are going to be like cringe or whatever, or they're going to whatever seethe. But no, truly, I had been praying the rosary since I was in non-denominational land because I was having severe panic attacks and I was finding peace in these more traditional practices like praying the rosary. And so I was doing it, quite regularly, not daily or anything like that, but with some regularity. And then when I became a Lutheran, there was a little bit more like anti-Catholic sentiment among that branch of Protestantism. So I would try to do like a modified version of the rosary that was like the Lutheran version of the rosary, which is kind of cringe.
The
But
Lutheran version of the rosary, is that a thing?
yeah, but it's
Really?
just sad.
Like, what do they do different?
I should look it up because I talk about this a lot and I don't remember it. But I believe it's like the Our Father on the beads instead or something
Okay.
like that. It's just like, the same kind of structure, but with no Mary stuff. Essentially,
What's funny
it's
about
like
that is like I'm pretty sure Martin Luther actually had a devotion to Mary. So
he
like
did.
for Lutheranism to not have the rosary is just bizarre.
Yes, that was another thing that was weird for me. Is like this doesn't look like the denomination that Luther wanted to found.
Right.
Um, so I'm trying to find like what the Lutheran rosary entails. I know. Okay, here it is. So yeah, you do the Our Father. Oh, okay. Then you do the Jesus prayer. So they just copied the East.
Yeah, they
They
just copy the
copied
East.
the bro. Don't even call it a Lutheran rosary. Then just call it the Jesus prayer rope or something.
Yeah, the prayer rope.
Whatever it's
Yeah, it's
called.
basically that's funny.
That's
You
so
know what's
whack.
ironic about Protestantism when it comes to the Ten Commandments is that they follow the structure of the Orthodox. So, like, if you look at the Ten Commandments between the Catholics, the Jewish groups, and then the Orthodox, the Protestants chose to go after, like, follow the path of the Orthodox. But what's funny about that is the Protestants are the first ones to try and claim we worship idols, and yet the group that they
Yeah.
took their 10 commandments from have about 10 times the amount of icons than we do.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, pick your poison, Protestants. Which one is it?
Yeah, well, there are
Oh,
a lot of instances of stuff like that where if you just think about it for a couple of seconds, you're like, something's not making sense here. Something's not adding up. But yeah, so the Mary stuff started to make a lot of sense to me. I was at the time, learning a lot about Lutheran theology. I was reading like the Luther's Small Catechism, Luther's Large Catechism, and the Book of Concord. I don't think I got through the entire thing, obviously, but got through some of it. And I was getting interested in like what Catholics believe about Mary because I was like, this stuff seems so out of left field to me as
yeah.
somebody who grew up Protestant that I don't even know why Catholics think that this Mary stuff makes sense. So I'm kind of curious to just see what that is. And I was reading "Behold Your Mother" by Tim Staples of
Love
Catholic
that
Answers.
book. I love that
Excellent
book, by the
book.
way. I have a
Yeah,
signed copy on my shelf.
dude, what a flex. That's dope.
I got it on eBay
Uh,
and it just happened to have a signature in it. So,
no way. That's so cool.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of scripture behind the beliefs about Mary. And this makes a lot of sense. And so I was getting surprised by the amount of scripture that was, supporting these beliefs. And I was asking this guy who was in training to become a Lutheran pastor. He was the vicar at the Lutheran church I was going to. Really great guy, really smart guy. And he's since moved on to, I think, a different part of the country.
Okay.
The Lutheran Pope moved him, I guess, or something. I don't know. I don't know
The
how it works.
Lutheran Pope.
I'm just kidding. The president of the LCMS or whatever organization manages where people go. Anyways, he was a great guy, and I was asking him a bunch of questions because I was still learning so much, and he was in seminary, so he had a lot of answers. And I was asking him about Mary, and he was basically most of the time was saying like, "Shut up, Mr. Laponto." He was giving me answers that were kind of like, we believe Mary's the mother of God for sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing Lutherans will all say, which I definitely credit them for. But then he was telling me like, well, we definitely deny the Immaculate Conception because if Mary was saved by something other than the cross, then that means that God could have saved us outside of the cross, and it kind of discounts the cross. Which, looking back, is kind of disappointing that that was his response because there's such an easy rebuttal to that
Hmm.
from Catholics. So, which is that she was saved by the cross, but she was saved from falling into original sin rather than being saved after falling into original sin. So, but
Yeah.
it was all by Jesus. And then yeah, on the other Marian dogmas, he was like, yeah, you could believe that she was a virgin, but most Lutherans don't, and I personally don't. And you could believe that she was bodily assumed, but that kind of goes in line with the Immaculate Conception. I don't know. There's no scriptural, and so all these things were making like the answers I was getting from Catholic Tim Staples was making a lot more sense than Lutheran vicar guy. And so I was like, I think the Catholics are right about this. And if they're right about this, they're probably right about other stuff too. So I'm going to look into this a little
Yeah.
bit more. And the rest is history.
And we have SIPS with Sarah. I almost said
There you
Thipsithera.
go.
Like, I'm like, got like a list
Diplothera.
going on. Thipsithera. I'm trying to think of what famous comedian talks that way. Oh, well. Maybe it'll come to me eventually. Oh, no.
We
That's
should
Mike
have.
Tyson. That's Mike Tyson. He's the
Oh,
one that
yeah.
has the list. That's right. Don't ever make fun of it, though. I've seen what he does when you do that.
What does he do?
It gets really threatening. And then he jokes around about it usually.
Oh, okay.
He's an
That sounds
oddball.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
He's also still got like legitimate, like wild exotic animals at his house. Like that scene from The Hangover, like he legitimately has wild animals like that. I don't know if he's got a lion, but either way.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Can you
The
imagine having that
lives
in your
that some
house?
people live is insane.
Well, what would if you ever had that kind of money, what would you do with it?
I mean, not that. Certainly not that. I'd probably just like pay off my house and I don't know.
Yeah, the dream of
Invest
the
in some.
millennials is just to pay off our houses, right?
I know. I'd just do something boring like that, and then invest in like some dividend stock that would keep me afloat, and then keep doing YouTube and give whatever I could to the church.
Yeah.
Something boring like that.
Honestly, it'd be cool to have a private chapel on my property. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have space for it on this property, but if I had
Ooh,
that kind of money, I would do it.
that would be dope. Just have like a private mass every Sunday.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like medieval royalty and whatnot, they would have like a private chapel on their property. A priest would come out and do mass for the family. Be sweet.
That does sound really sweet.
Get all your friends and family, come over for your 25-seat chapel, whatever it is, and priest shows up. Boom, good to go.
Yes. Okay, I would do
A lot of
that.
retired priests. A lot of retired priests would go and live with relatively well-off people, and they would do their masses for them.
Yes. That sounds awesome. And then I would have like there's this big thing I want to start doing this year. We'll see how big it is, but I want to start doing where we have the feast days of our saints, like mine, my wife's, our
Mhm.
son's, once he comes out and gets baptized, um, and like big Marian feast days. I want to have like parties at my house for those types of things, and invite my
Yeah.
family and friends over and like come celebrate the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, or come celebrate the whatever, the Feast of Saint Joseph with us, or the Feast of Saint Ambrose, or the Feast of Saint Junipero Serra, and just have a party and do things that are traditionally associated with celebrating those feast days. So we're starting to do that this year at my house, but I don't know what that's going to look like yet. So hopefully it's not
My
lame.
kid's favorite one to do is Saint Nick. We do it. What's funny is I was born on the feast of Saint Nicholas, so like December 6th
Nice.
is literally my birthday, and as well as it's the feast day for Saint Nick. And
That's
so my
cool.
kids love it because they put their shoes out the night before and they get gifts on Dad's birthday.
That's cool, man. That's
Yeah,
so cool. Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's really a
I'm
great tradition to pass on to the kids.
yeah. That's actually close to the feast day of St. Ambrose. I think his is December 9th, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of those are like around that same time period, the same part of the year. Yeah, it is
Hmm.
pretty cool. It's a nice time of year, and they try to put some of the more prominent saints' feast days closer to like prominent feasts like Christmas.
Yeah.
Just kind of a buildup of cool saints.
That's awesome.
But the funny thing for us is because we do Saint Nick's Day, my kids have never once thought that Santa Claus had anything to do with Christmas, which is so funny.
That's very based.
Yeah,
I
so
think I'm going to copy that.
when Christmas rolls around, it's all about Jesus for my kids. Jesus,
I
presents,
love it.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Now that we're having our first kid, I'm thinking about like, what are we doing about the whole Santa Claus thing? Because I don't want to raise them with the whole Santa Claus thing at all, and I don't want to raise them with the like excited to open gifts on Christmas. In like the way that it manifests most times is that it's very materialistic, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of ways to make it like you said, more about Jesus. And I mean, the whole thing about like the reason that Saint Nicholas was associated with it was because he was doing random and anonymous acts of charity. So
Yes.
I'm like, how can I incorporate that with our celebration of Christmas so that we're doing random anonymous acts of charity? I don't know what that would look like throw
Yeah,
wads of
I don't know
cash
about
at
that
people or
because
something.
we
I don't know.
throw wads of cash,
I don't
stand
know.
outside the church with a t-shirt cannon.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to
Yeah.
do that for no reason other than, hey, look, t-shirt. Be fun. I don't know. Kind of a dumb thing, but whatever. Oh
At a
gosh,
church specifically?
I just thought of the no. But I just thought of the worst thing that would be like both charitable but also horrible is like if you went to one of those like the homeless areas and you just started shooting t-shirts.
Yeah.
That'd be horrible and great
Oh,
at the same time.
yeah. It's like it's nice that you're doing that, but you're also kind of making a circus out of these people.
Yeah. Yes, it's horrible. It's horrible
That's
and
not
charitable at
nice.
the same time. Yeah.
Yeah,
You definitely don't want your face being shown on that video.
that's true. That'd be
Oh
like a Mr.
gosh.
Beast video.
Yeah, oh no. Oh, yeah, he probably would. He probably would.
Yeah.
He'd probably shoot full on outfits like pants, shirts, t-shirts, everything.
He'd be like, I helicopter dropped it a million helicopter dropped. Helicopter dropped it a
Helicopter
million
drops. Yeah.
dollars over Skid Row, and you just
That'd
have
be
like homeless
that's
people fighting
horrible.
each
You'd have
other,
like a
and
death match over that. Like
it would be a
imagine
death.
just
Like there
dropping
would
a
be a death
pallet of
toll for sure.
cash.
Yeah.
People, yeah, people would be, yeah, that'd be bad. That'd be really bad.
Don't do that, Mr. Beast. If you're watching this,
Don't do that. Definitely don't host like death race style stuff, you know. Did you ever
no,
watch that movie back when?
no.
That's a horrible outlook on the future of America. It's like they turn the prison system into a capitalist venture and they just have
Mm,
inmates fighting for their freedom by racing to their deaths. Pretty bad.
yeah,
But given the nature of this country, it's not would not surprise me if something like that existed in the future, which is a sad state of things. It's basically just
that is sad.
gladiators, right? Just gladiators.
True. I could see a papal encyclical being written about that if that were to happen.
I would talk about speaking of papal encyclicals. I was impressed with how the Pope just like went after that Governor Pritzker in Chicago area for basically making euthanasia legal. It's like that's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff I want the Pope to come out hard against. Like, don't get me wrong, the liturgy wars are interesting and they need to be resolved at some point, but the euthanasia is a way bigger threat to this planet.
Right. That's true. Yeah. It's I mean, I've been impressed with a lot of things that Pope Leo's been doing, but that's certainly one of them. And his, you know, staunch statements against like speech laws in the West.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he had the UK in mind when he was saying stuff like that because they've
Oh,
arrested
probably.
like 12,000 people for social media posts. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's calling stuff out like that because, like, people get tired of popes calling out things that like typically conservatives like people
Yeah.
don't like when the pope says you should treat immigrants with respect or something like that, but those things are generally true anyways. But it
They
is
are, yeah.
nice to see a pope saying like, hey, also you guys on the left are kind of being idiots too.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, like if you look at the immigration problem from the perspective of specifically Muslims in the UK, like they are now able to access programming that they wouldn't have accessed otherwise, and you might see more converts to Christianity in the UK in the future. I mean, it's really
Certainly.
bad short term, horrible. I mean, we see gangs, violence, all kinds of crazy stuff, but
Hmm.
long term, who knows what the effects are going to be?
Yeah, I did see, and I wish I had it pulled up here, but I did see a stat that was like some percentage of Muslims said they would consider converting to Christianity.
Yeah,
And it was in one of these like European countries, I believe. So I think there is. Oh, here it is. New poll in Germany. This is from Catholic Arena. New poll shows 14% of Muslims would consider becoming Christians.
hmm.
Um, so like that's not a large percentage, but it's large enough that it would be good. And then you think of the downstream effect of that, of like those people's families, especially if they're men who would consider converting, the families would likely follow them if they have a family. So
That would be
that,
interesting to see the breakdown if that 14% is men, women, children, or what.
yeah, maybe I could find it and
Well, it's probably men because
get
I don't know
more
if they let the
detail.
women vote in polls, to be honest.
That's true. Are women allowed to answer
I
polls?
don't know. Oh, sorry. I'm full of jokes tonight, apparently. Um,
That's fine.
who primarily, I mean, based on your own viewing of your channel, who do you think primarily watches your content? Because I think that's important. Because if you got Gen Z watching, they need good influences such as people like you and your channel.
You know what? Let's pull it up. I can pull it up right now and see. I know that it is predominantly men,
Yeah,
um, which I think is pretty universal with this type of content. Um,
it is true. I mean, the more emotional appeal tends to go more towards the women. Like Matt Fradd, I think has a pretty good mix, but he's not primarily an apologetics and theology argumentative channel. He's more of a interview, kind of like what I do, but
yeah,
more professional than I am. Far more
yeah.
professional than I am.
No, I don't know about that. Just kidding. He's far more professional than all of us, man.
Well, he's got the
Um,
professional setup and he's been doing it professionally for a while. So, like, of course, he's more professional than I am.
yeah, of course. So I don't have a ton of Gen Z to be honest, which is kind of a bummer. I have 18 to 24-year-olds are 11.5%,
That's not bad, though.
whereas Yeah. The largest is the 25 to 34-year-olds, which is 29.5%.
That's millennial. Yep. So you got
Yeah.
millennial and Gen Z.
Yep.
And then,
And then
what you got boomers watching? You got a pretty good percentage of boomers, or
actually not bad. Like
Hmm,
11.5%, 65 and up,
nice.
and then like 12%, 55 to 64, 13 and 14%, 45 to 54. A lot of old people.
Well, maybe you're getting the older Protestants to start hearing the arguments for Catholicism. I mean, it's never too. That's the thing that gets me. It's like at any point in your life, if you just choose to follow the path of truth, you can be on the path to salvation. And that's why it's so
Yes.
important that you never give up on these things. That's why you don't give up on family
Yeah.
members who have fallen away. It's why you don't give up on friends who have fallen away. Because at any point you could be the guy that makes that difference. And I think that's why your channel is such a good positive influence, because you don't go after people in a insulting manner like some of these other channels have done. And I really do
Yeah.
appreciate uh that style of rhetoric.
Well, I did get some pushback for the stream that I did with Braden on responding to needgod.net because we did crack a lot of jokes at his expense. So I'm
To
not,
be fair though, he's so, what's the right word? We'll use the Gen Z lingo. He's
wonderful.
locked in to Protestantism. He is locked in. And
Yeah.
I think that's partially a business decision on his end, but also he's theologically, we'll say, unsound when it comes to some of his arguments.
Yeah. It is, it actually, I'm going to be, this is going to sound mean again. Look, I think the guy's probably a great guy.
Oh,
He's
probably.
probably like a very, very wholesome and awesome dude to hang out with and to be friends with. And he's probably very kind and generous. He seems like a really good guy, actually. But when it comes to theology and the way he represents Catholicism, it does tend to be very dishonest. Because like the arguments that he was presenting in this video that we went through, which we took like 2.5 hours to go through his entire video in quite a lot of detail. And the arguments that he gave is like, if you would have just done a Google search of like, hey, why don't Catholics consider the Council of Hieria valid? Then you would have found, oh, because it was only Eastern bishops and the Pope rejected it immediately. And that's kind of how we determine it. If a council is valid, the Pope accepts it. That's kind of how we determine that. But instead, he's like, nope, they don't accept this council, and they do accept this council, which contradicts this council, which means that Catholics are just being dishonest and inconsistent in their logic. And it's just like, bro, like 2 seconds of a Google search would have helped you out here. So when there's something that's that low hanging that can be, easily clarified, and yet you still choose to just be like, nah, they're just dishonest. It's like, I don't know if I, I don't know if I'm going to give that person the same amount of charity that I would give somebody else who is like, I did a video a while back on, there was some pastor televangelist guy talking about purgatory, and he got a lot of things wrong. And I wasn't like that mean about it because I was like, this guy probably just grew up in Protestantism, doesn't know anything about Catholicism. And, to his credit, he was quoting the catechism. I'm like, okay, so he did a decent job, but he got this one thing wrong, and he contradicted himself here, but it wasn't like he was trying to be malicious. At least it didn't seem that way. So I don't know. But
Clearly, you must
yeah.
be talking about Mike Gendron then, right? No, just kidding.
No, he's another one that kind of gets me to be a little bit too antagonistic, perhaps. But yeah,
He's a very interesting guy when it comes to like feigning ignorance of things, but also like claiming to be an expert.
he
Like
grew up Catholic, man. He was an
he
altar
grew up
server,
Catholic. His
and the
brother,
priest
his
told
uncle's
him
a
never to
priest.
read the Bible.
Yeah, never read the Bible, never.
Yep.
Then he opened his eyes, and there it was. Anyway,
Yep.
so I got to ask then, how did the debating circuit start for you? When did you start looking at debating in general, or like maybe just even argumentative, or arguments for and against various subjects within the church?
Well, I've always been argumentative.
Okay.
In high school, I was, even though I was on the opposite spectrum of, religious belief, I was like an atheist at the time, and opposite side of the political spectrum. uh, But I've always been argumentative, and I just like, but I mean, I try to, I
No,
don't
hold
know,
on. Are you suggesting that at some point your politics may have been more aligned with liberals, or what are you
bro.
saying? Yeah,
I mean, dude, I used to be an anarcho-communist, whatever the hell that means.
anarcho-communist,
Yep.
not anarcho-capitalist, anarcho-communist.
No, nope. I was an anarcho-communist.
That's a thing that exists.
It's a thing, yeah. I
I've
mean,
heard of the ANCAPs. I have never heard of an ANCOM. That's very
yep,
different. So is it like
yep.
different communes living in anarchy? Would that be the idea? Like I'm just
Essentially,
confused.
yeah, it's like a commune where everybody shares resources and stuff, and everybody works and
But
all
there's
that
no
stuff.
government essentially.
Yeah, there's no government.
Okay, okay.
Um, it's just it's dumb, but that's like how far left I guess I was at a certain point, and I used to believe that like religion should be illegal and all that good stuff. So
Interesting.
I've never had a moderate position on anything essentially. It seems.
Well, you must not have spent any time in the red pill movement. I know a lot of people who, especially in the millennial space, if they were even
Mm,
remotely leaning right at some point in their life before they became religious, especially Catholic, a lot of times turned to the red pill movement briefly. Like
mm,
I definitely was listening to that type of content when I was in college without necessarily realizing it was the red pill movement. And Mike
same, yeah.
Pantile and I talked about that quite a bit because it was very popular along with like the new atheist thing when we were all in the college age period.
Yep.
And then it slowly just died. It's like the new
Yeah.
not anarchy, the new atheist thing pretty much just fizzled right out. Like nobody really listens to what's that guy's name? The guy that gets Thursday spinning up all the time. Gosh, what is his name?
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
Starts with a
Can't.
J, right? Gosh, I can't
I
think of his
believe so.
name. Drive me nuts. I'll
He's
figure
the
it out
one that
eventually.
is always talking about like the woke right or whatever.
Yeah. James something, right? James Lindsay. James
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
That's the one. That guy.
Yeah.
That he's like the pinnacle of that movement, and he is showing just how poorly prepared they were for the way things are going now.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. No, I dabbled in some like I don't know, I guess like
Lepanto coming
the
in clutch after we already figured it out.
there we go. I did watch like some right wing what I'm trying to remember Anthony Cumia is like a very
Oh
controversial
yeah. That's
figure.
right. Yeah.
I loved that guy. I watched him all the time, and then I think he got
He's
kicked
got
off of
the
a bunch of
what is
platforms.
that platform he does called? The it's like called like the
The
something.
Compound or
The
something.
compound. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I would watch him and Jim Norton when they were all on like Sirius XM, and they were like the only reason I had a Sirius XM subscription, and so I like kind of got into that stuff, but it was also always like around the sexual ethics of that branch of thinking, I guess. Was always kind of weird to me because I've always believed in like monogamy and like I've always wanted to get married and stuff. So
Yeah.
when they were like, "Nah, man, just sleep around and whatever," and I'm just like, I don't know about that. That's
Yeah.
I don't think I would. Yeah, and but unfortunately,
It's
that
appealing
is
for
a lot
people that
of
have absolutely no want to repent or regret. It's very
yeah.
appealing to that crowd for sure.
It's essentially like conservatism without Jesus, and
Yeah,
so it always ends up being its own. Um, it's still liberal
it
in a
is.
huge sense because it's sexual libertarianism essentially, which is very cringe.
It's basically anti-feminist in nature. Is what it just intends to oppose feminism in a way
Mm,
that makes sense to people who don't know Jesus well.
right.
Because the
Yeah.
real
Which
opposition to feminism is Mary, is the Catholic Church,
yes,
those things.
yes. This beautiful woman right here, who you can't fully see because she's out of focus, but that's
Yeah.
the Blessed Mother. That is the answer to feminism, not sleeping with a bunch of women and being cringe.
Well, to be fair, you're probably creating a bunch of feminists by doing that.
That is true. That is true.
You know, they create more of what they intend to oppose by doing what they do. Good
Yep.
stuff.
Good job, guys. Yeah, and then like okay, you sleep with a bunch of women, and then like you end up getting a couple of them pregnant, and then they have abortions because they didn't intend to have a child, and but you're a conservative, and presumably you're against abortion, or maybe you're
Right.
not because you're actually not a conservative, and you're just trying to I don't know make it like excuse your I don't know avoid
Degeneracy.
your principles, yeah, to accommodate your degeneracy essentially. So I don't know
Yeah.
that side of things never really appealed to me.
All right. So you went from an anarcho-communist to like what steps do we have between that to Catholicism? Because that seems like a pretty big jump.
Well, it involves a lot of accumulating knowledge and growing brain cells, and
Suggesting that the
um,
anarcho-communists don't have brain cells.
they have far fewer than the average Catholic.
Okay. Okay. That is a funny point you make though, because I've noticed a lot of my most intelligent, my opinion of an intelligent conversation is usually people who are religious, especially people who are Catholic and know their faith. I feel like those are the most intelligent conversations I tend to have are people like that.
Right. Yeah. That's why there's no famous or even mildly popular, as far as I know, um, like anarcho-communist YouTuber or something. Because it's like you hear them talk like if you would have heard me talk for 20 minutes back then, you'd have been like, "This guy's an idiot. I'm not listening to this guy ever again," because your opinions make no sense. And if you like, once you hear somebody talk for a certain amount of time, you realize, oh, this just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. And so your opinions have to have some kind of coherence to them for you to be interesting to listen to, which is why nobody listens to anarcho-communists.
I don't even listen to this is bad, but I don't even listen to half the time people who are outwardly liberal anymore, just because
Oh yeah.
their arguments are so skin deep. They're not even like, I'm not going to say who this is because it's if they ever watch this, I don't want them to know I'm
Say it.
talking about
I'm just
them.
kidding.
But somebody will say somebody familially close to me was
Oh, okay.
posting on Facebook the other day about illiteracy, and now she's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But and I started to type up a response, and I said, "There's just no point. There's no
There's
point to
not.
actually type up this response." Because the comment that they made that it really had nothing to do with the rest of it, but it just pissed me off because they tried claiming that Martin Luther was like a major proponent of literacy and that the Catholic Church had been holding people back from reading for like 1500 years. And I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like
That's
you
right.
literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Is this
And
a Protestant?
no, definitely not.
Oh,
This is
okay.
somebody that would have went to like the women's march in DC for like, the pink hats and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have family like that too. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So
yeah,
I was
there's
just like,
flip
like,
side.
how do you respond to that? Like, and I was just like, I'm not going to make a video on this. This is dumb. They're not
You
going to
should make a video
believe
on it.
me. They're not going to believe me because if they're that into that culture, they're just not going to, they're just going to dismiss me anyways. So like,
Yeah,
there's no
but
point even responding.
I think those videos like that are most helpful for the people who have that belief, but they're not that attached to it. And they're just like, like you might have a belief about history that's just not true. Like I might have believed at one point that the Crusades were bad, but I wasn't emotionally attached to that belief. So if I would have seen a video, which I have now, many, and read books and stuff, um, which is a good way to get out of stupid beliefs is read books. But
Yeah,
then
no
you come
doubt.
across information that's like, oh, actually, that's not true. Oh, okay, well, I guess that's not true, and then you just kind of drop that belief. Now, for somebody who is attached to that belief, they're gonna hold on to it no matter what. But I think it's still helpful. You should make that video and send it to
Well,
that
I
family member.
I do have a second channel that if I ever find time to do it, I am going to start doing like small videos like that where I'm just like addressing things like, you know who you are, but if anybody else needs this, here you go.
Yeah,
But
or just
like the whole idea of saying who somebody, unless they're a public figure, and
no.
then address a public figure publicly, whatever. But if somebody's like a private individual, it's just gossip at that point. I'm not going to say their name. I'm not going to. I'll address their opinions.
Yeah,
That's as far as we'll go with that. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, and like I do this a lot with my videos. A lot of the videos I make are just ideas that I got from hearing people that I know and love say things that are just wrong. And I don't correct
Yeah.
them and I don't bring it up and argue about it with them, but I'm like, oh, that'd be a good video because a lot of people probably think that, and so I should make a video about that. And then I go and do it.
So what you're saying is I should scope this person's Facebook page out until they block me.
Yeah, well, eventually they're going to realize, hey, all of your
Wait a
videos are
second.
directly related to the post that I made like last week. So what is going on here?
Wait a second. What happened here?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny though, because like you don't think about where these ideas for videos come from, and then it's like somebody points out like, oh, you get these ideas from family members, friends, people just spouting things that you want to address, but you'd rather address it anonymously publicly than address them in person directly. And that's a great source for good videos that otherwise you might not have an idea to make, or a good inspiration, because you're potentially, if they ever see it, convincing them that their argument's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess a lot of like, I guess some of my family watches my stuff. Some of my in laws watch my stuff, but usually the long form stuff they don't watch. They usually see like what's on
Yeah.
Instagram. So I feel pretty safe in my YouTube format
Yeah.
to kind of go crazy on that kind of stuff
I mean, I just
with
recently
charity.
switched to doing shorts at all because I wasn't going to do them, but StreamYard actually makes it super simple. If anybody wants to use StreamYard, you get a discount code by using my link in the description, but I don't know how much it's worth, either 10 or 25 bucks.
Nice.
But they just generate shorts for me. I was like, this is awesome. So I'm just using
That is
them.
awesome.
Because I was
How's
going to
that
pay
been
for
going?
Opus Clips. I was going to pay for Opus Clips to try it, but now that this is just doing it for free and it's all branded content, I'm just going to use that.
Have they been performing pretty well?
Pretty decent. I mean, they're doing at least, I mean, my channel's only got 500 some odd subscribers. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching this, I really appreciate your subscription.
You better subscribe.
They're doing 500 to 2,000 views, so they're doing okay. I can't tell if you're
Nice.
frozen. No, it's like he's just holding his finger up, like just frozen. That'd be hilarious. Like the podcast is over, it's just Adrian pointing at the camera, like, you guys
subscribe right now.
And you guys got to be afraid of his 7 foot tall stature over here.
Yep.
I met him in person.
Yep.
I've seen it. He's like 7 feet, guys.
Yep. That's why when you see like the video that Mr. Lepanto posted today of the frat interview, all of the pictures that I take with other people, I have to sit down because otherwise I'm too tall and I'm like out of frame.
Yeah.
So I'm always like sitting on the floor, and then I'm like, same height as them once I'm sitting down. So
yeah, and I have photographic proof that Keith Nestor's taller than me. So that's on my Instagram page.
Nice.
Anyway, and the Short Kings Unite was a joke because him and Keith are both very tall people.
Very tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so if you know anything about irony, it's like you say the opposite of what's true as a joke.
Yeah.
And so we said that we are short kings, but it's because we're so like massively tall that we're actually tall kings.
Exactly.
You're welcome, everybody.
Yep. So the more you know, and you should definitely become Catholic because the tall guy over here said so. Definitely.
Yep. I became taller after I was Catholic. So
do you mind if we get into some other things, like how you like, maybe you're okay with it or not, but would you be okay talking about how you and your wife met and whether she was Catholic to begin with?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. How did you guys meet?
We met in high school, sophomore year of high school, and it was pretty interesting circumstances. So we were in the same honors English class, and I had missed a day of school for whatever reason. I was probably being an idiot. And then when I came back the next day, I found out that we had started a group project, and we were placed into groups. And my friend had placed me in his group because I wasn't there. So he was like, let's just put him in my group. And then I realized, okay, I'm in this group with my friend, this other guy, and this girl who is pretty cute. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're doing the group project. My friend and I are totally not paying attention to the project at all. We're supposed to be memorizing some lines for like a play that we're going to reenact a segment of. And we're just not paying attention at all. We're just talking about nonsense. And so she comes up to us and she's like,
as teenagers do, right?
Yeah. And she's like, you guys, we have to stay on task. And it was just so adorable. And I was like, will you marry me? I didn't say that in the moment, but I felt it.
Right on the spot. He's like, and that's it. History made.
Yep. So I liked her, and eventually after I pestered her for long enough, she liked me. But we didn't get together until after high school, because in high school I was just an idiot with relationships. I didn't know how to do relationships. So I just like be with somebody for 2 weeks and then I'd be like, I don't feel euphoric around you anymore. So that must mean I don't like you anymore. So I'm going to break up with you now.
I mean, that is how the
Uh,
teenage male brain works, like just flat out with no guidance.
Essentially.
That's just how that brain works. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do that with her because that seems like that would be a serious relationship. And she's like a real serious person who I have too much respect for to put through something like that.
Sure,
So I'm
sure.
going to just not do that to her. And then after high school, I was living with my mom for a while. She was in a terrible relationship. And then I moved with my mom to Florida. I came back to California. My mom stayed in Florida. That's a whole other like crazy story. But then that's about a year after high school. I got back in touch with her, my now wife, and was like, "Hey, I'm still down to date if you are." And she was like, "Great." And then so we started dating, and then we got together and been together for a total of 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but we've only been married for 4 of those years. So
So you guys only got married in the last 4 years. Wow. Okay, so
yeah,
2021.
yeah,
Nice.
yep.
Very. I mean,
And we got a
that's.
baby on the way.
So you guys converted together, or how did that all work?
So when we first got together, I was an atheist. This was at my, anarcho-communist
Yeah.
atheist.
Right. Right.
Christianity should be illegal phase of life. And I told her at one point, if I ever become a Christian, leave me because I've lost my mind. And then, like a few years after that, I became a Christian. And yeah, so then, yeah, I was a Protestant. And then I was trying to tell her, like, no, it's because there's actually good evidence for the resurrection. And I'm trying to argue with her about all this stuff, and she was just like, "Dude, I don't care. Like, you're just annoying me. Stop." So I realized that I wasn't going to be able to like present her with enough information to convert her because I was just annoying her. And then it was after I became Catholic, so she knows me. I go from atheist to Calvary Chapel to almost Catholic to Lutheran to Catholic, and she's like, "I don't know what's going on here, dude, but I'm just gonna like." I'll sit back until you figure this out, and then you can involve me if you want.
That's funny.
So after I became Catholic, I was like, "Hey, do you want to pray the rosary with me?" And she would pray the rosary with me sometimes, even though she was like, "I don't understand this." And then I'd invite her to come with me to mass sometimes, and she would come with me, and she was like, "I don't understand it, but okay." And then I think it was a combination of being gradually exposed to Catholicism, along with hearing the Exorcist Files podcast, which I think I brought up earlier. Great podcast, and she had
Is that
always
Father Dan Rehill, or is that
Father Carlos Martins.
Carlos Martins? That's right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I
no,
haven't
yeah,
listened to that in a while.
so good. It's so good. So she was listening to that with me, and she had always believed in some sort of spiritual aspect of life. She
Mhm.
grew up Buddhist, so she had believed in something spiritual, but to her, like Buddhism didn't make a lot of sense of that life. And
She was raised in Buddhism.
yes,
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever met anybody that was raised in that.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I would maybe I'll ask her, but she says that like none of it really made that much sense to her. Maybe it wasn't explained very
Mhm.
well or something. But when she heard the Exorcist Files, it presents like, yeah, cool spooky stories or whatever, but it also presents a lot of catechesis about why demonic possession happens and mortal
Yeah.
sin and things like that. And like why like original sin, baptism, and all that good stuff. So she was like, this actually makes a lot of sense of the spiritual world that I don't think any other religion makes as much sense of. So she was like, I think this Catholic stuff is real. And so she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then
And so
so she
she
got
convert
confirmed.
with you or after you?
She was after me. So I got
After you. Okay.
confirmed in 2024, and then she got baptized, confirmed in First Communion in 2025. So this past
Nice.
Easter. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's what you want to see. I mean, really, when it comes to marriage, you want to be foundationally based on the same beliefs, right?
Yep.
So
Foundationally based.
foundationally based, exactly. Um, I mean, they do say like marriages where there's two competing interests in faith always the children are agnostic or otherwise by the time they're adults.
Yep.
It's very difficult to recover from that. So it's good that you guys are starting off that, especially with raising. Now you'll have your first child, raising them in the faith, and hopefully you guys will have, God willing, of a relatively whatever size family that God wants to give you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping for a lot. So
Well, I will say a prayer for you guys for sure. I mean, I
thank you.
I love seeing big young families at mass, especially people that I know. And so, not that I would
Yep.
see you consistently at any point unless I moved to California, but
Which I
still,
recommend.
you do recommend that.
We
Interesting.
need more Catholics here for sure.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought you're like, it's super Catholic here. Come like Steubenville.
Well,
Like, come here.
Orange County has a pretty flourishing Catholic scene, so I think you'd be surprised if you came here. You'd be like, "Oh, there's like a lot of Catholic stuff going on here."
I do have a couple friends that are Catholic in that area.
Yeah,
So I do know there are Catholics there.
yeah, they got it's pretty popping over here in the Catholic world of Orange County.
It'd be nice if you guys could get like, a real Catholic governor. That'd be awesome.
A real one would be nice. We have some counterfeit Catholics over here.
I mean,
Some
we have them everywhere.
pro-choice Catholics or whatever.
It's such a weird,
Which
like,
it can't be.
how do you even make that work? It's such a you have to do like serious somersaults in theology to even consider making that work, saying you're a pro-choice Catholic. I don't understand how people can say that. Like, it feels like one Google search would end that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because you're essentially in defiance of the Pope because the popes are consistently not pro-choice; they're consistently pro-life, and
There is
it's
no
not.
pro-choice pope. Like, there
There's
just
no
doesn't
pro-choice
exist.
pope. There's no pro-choice encyclical or dogmatic declaration. It's all pro-life, and so if you are a pro-choice, you call yourself a Catholic, you're actually just a Protestant, essentially,
Gosh, yeah, that's yeah. Well,
because you're
because you're literally
protesting
protesting
against.
the beliefs. You are literally a
Yeah.
Protestant. You just don't know it yet.
Which, okay, I'm sorry, Protestants. A lot of Protestants are very pro-life, and they do a lot of good work in that sphere. So, but there
No,
are a
but
lot of high
if you're
church
actually
Protestants who are,
protesting a dogma of the church
yeah,
or the official church, like, you are definitively a Protestant of some sort because you're protesting the church in some way, shape, or form. That's how
yes,
Protestantism started,
yes,
because they protested
true,
something to do with the church.
true,
The entire definition of what they are is
yeah,
based on rejecting some church teaching of some sort.
yeah. I just didn't want people to think that I associate pro-choice with Protestantism or something. So that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But to be fair, the Protestant church in America, did you look at the statistics on Gen Z?
No.
So for the first time, at least in the history of this country, we'll say post England takeover, because
Yeah.
this
Okay, I know
country
what you're gonna
started
say.
out Catholic.
Yeah.
Gen Z outnumbers in Catholic. There's more Catholic Gen Z by percentage than there is Protestant Gen Z.
Yes. So
But the
big.
sad part is, to get there, we have more nuns and atheists. Not nuns like NUNs, like no
Yeah.
religion Gen Zers. That's the
Right.
sad
Yeah,
part.
because it's been a consistent holding the line by the Catholics and the Protestants losing a bunch of numbers rather than the Catholics gaining a bunch of numbers in recent
I
years.
mean, the Catholics are going up. Like, the trajectory was like, it was like 20, then 19, then 20, then 21. So like,
Yeah.
it's kind of hit like rock bottom for how many Catholics there would be, I think, with the Gen Xers, and that makes sense to me when you think about when Gen X was raised,
Right.
and then they're going
Yeah.
back up. Now, the quickest way to solve that is everybody has a bunch of kids who's actually Catholic, and boom, we would have a
Yes.
huge population percentage of Catholics. But
Yes.
unfortunately, that's not generally what. Maybe I'll get your take on this. Generally speaking, the messaging, I think we can all agree, the messaging coming out of USCCB could do a lot of positive change for that type of behavior. If they
Yeah.
could
Are
just
they
get,
not?
it's not that they're not, it's that they don't put it front and center.
Okay. I genuinely don't know. So I know that they've said some stuff about immigration, but they've also
That's the
said some
bulk
very
of what
pro-life stuff.
information they put out, is generally about immigration, anti-abortion. But being
Hmm.
anti-abortion isn't necessarily pro big family.
Right.
So I would love to see
Yeah.
some more pro big family stuff out of the USCCB.
That would be nice. Yeah, although I don't know how much the average Catholic is aware of what the USCCB is saying on any given day.
That's probably that's a good point too. That is a very
So
good
maybe it's up
point.
to us. Maybe we got to say a bunch of stuff that's pro big family.
I mean, I'm having as many people on as possible that actually care about their faith to discuss these kinds of things. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I'm happy to promote it every day on my channel if I had to, but I just don't think that message is being received by people who need to hear it. I think a lot of people who watch my content at least already are in agreement with that, unless they're hate watching it, I guess. You know, like they're watching it like, this guy sucks. Do you ever get any of that? Like just comments or people are like, I watch your content and I hate it.
Yep.
Do you?
I love those comments. Yeah. I'm like, dude, please keep commenting and keep watching. You are definitely helping me in the algorithm. So thank you for your comment. Thank you for your time.
I used to have somebody that would so like my old podcast, we had like 2,000 subscribers, you know, nothing crazy, but we would talk about Halo a lot, and somebody would be like, every single podcast, stop talking about Halo, please talk about something else. I'm like, why are you still watching? Like, you know what to expect and you're still watching.
Yeah, I can't imagine going to a podcast that talks about the same thing and then being like, I'm going to make this podcast change its topic entirely.
Well, that's like what didn't Keith harp on that at the conference where he was like saying like people would reach out to him personally and be like, you should really cover this. You should cover that.
Oh, yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about? Like they act like they're, I think people get these parasocial relationships where they think they're like friends with you, consistently think that way because they just don't develop. And this is a Gen Z thing. I think this is why Gen Z needs this type of outreach. They don't know what they don't know, and they don't know how to like socially outreach in real life. A lot of them don't. And so they develop these parasocial relationships. And that's why OnlyFans girls get them, because they'll reach out and like send them whatever. And then they develop these parasocial relationships and they don't end up actually dating.
That's true.
They don't end up actually making friends. So they think these podcasters are their buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have anything constructive to say about that other than it's sad. Go outside.
Well, because like you and I are like we grew up, and I don't want to lump you in with everything I've done, because I'm sure you and I have definitely divergences in things we've thought or done. But as millennials in our 30s now, because we're both in our 30s, really we're the last group that grew up where the internet wasn't as prominent as it is in most everybody's life after us. Yeah, like, I remember when AOL was big. So
right. Yeah, when I was in freshman year of high school, I had a computer class where I was using, I think it was either AOL or Yahoo, like instant messaging.
Yeah.
And I was like talking to some girl that I liked when I should have been like learning school stuff.
As we all did back then.
Yeah, but it's because that was the only time that I had to talk to her, because that was the only time I had access to a computer or to the internet.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then I would have, you know, like my flip phone that I can text on and like maybe do some internet browsing on, but it wasn't anything, you know, significant.
I mean, yeah, the original iPhone came out when I was a freshman in high school, and it was only on AT&T.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I was in high school, I had the iPod. I had the little iPod that had a camera on it. That was like the newest thing at that time.
Was it the iPod Touch then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My original iPod Touch that I had gotten like a second or third gen. I didn't get the original, but my first one that I had, they, for whatever silly reason, Activision decided to publish Call of Duty Zombies on a touchscreen. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was really into that back then. Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I have my iPod in this backpack, but I don't think I do.
I still have my iPod Shuffle, my OG iPod Shuffle, the little gum stick size one.
That's crazy.
It still works.
I still have my Touch, but I don't know where it is. I might have put it in a box somewhere.
I think my iPod Touch no longer has a functioning touchpad. Like it works, but it doesn't. The volume rocker doesn't work. Power button still works. That's about as far as it goes. But it's so crazy because the internet on its own, with its access to all kinds of documents that, I mean, really, you and I wouldn't have had growing up, automatically just defeats a lot of the Protestant arguments. Like Protestantism
Yeah.
almost single-handedly gets taken down in America by the internet.
Right. Yeah. Someone, I mean, I think this is kind of a big phrase now that a lot of people are saying, and it's true, that Protestantism rose quickly because of the printing press and it's going to fall because of the internet,
Yeah.
essentially. But I think this also brings up another interesting thing that I've been thinking about this recently that is actually kind of concerning as far as like the destination of souls goes, where the the amount of people who are invincibly ignorant nowadays has to
It's like
be
almost
infinitely
none.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
North
they're,
Sentinel Island. I'll give North Sentinel Island the pass.
okay.
You know who that is, right?
No.
It's a small island where they have like this tribe of like 100 or so people
Okay.
who have no access to the modern world.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so they get the pass, but even yeah, but it's there was this there's this understanding in Catholic theology and I think it's in Protestantism too that if somebody is ignorant of the gospel or ignorant of the fullness of the gospel in the Catholic faith, that through no fault of their own, that it is possible that they could be saved. Not that they're guaranteed to be saved, but that it is
Right.
possible that they could be saved. Um, but now there is nobody for whom that is true. The tribe with the sticks, yeah. The sticks can't tell them the fullness of the gospel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's almost nobody now who doesn't have access to sufficient information that should convince you, should reveal to you that Catholicism is the fullness of the truth. And so that's kind of concerning. And this is probably the first generation of humans where that is the case.
I mean, you could probably make an argument in some of the more propaganda focused countries where they like ban the Catholic Church from being able to be
Right.
there. Like, for example, China
Like the
filters their
UK.
entire internet.
Oh, right.
UK, yeah, right. Yeah. Pray for their king to convert them back to Catholicism. Can you imagine what would that even look like if the
Dude,
king
that'd be
converted to
so cool.
Catholicism?
Didn't he meet the Pope recently?
He did, yeah, he did. And actually, it was the first time in like 500 years of Protestantism that the English monarch went to visit the Pope in that fashion.
It's gonna
So,
happen, man. It's gonna
I
happen.
mean, I hope it does, but I don't have a lot of faith in this guy. I mean, he's a Freemason, as are most of the English monarchs these days.
Yeah.
And he's professed some pretty oddball things, and he was also a big proponent of the Archbishop of Canterbury being a woman in the Anglican Church. So I don't see
Okay.
that happening. It's possible, but I
Well,
don't
not
see it
him,
happening.
not him, but somebody will. And I think UK actually had the flip from majority Protestant Gen Z to majority Catholic Gen Z.
They did,
Um,
yep.
or what I phrased that totally stupidly, but they
There's
they were the
more
first ones to
Gen
have that
Z
trend.
Catholics than Anglicans. That's what it was.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happened in the UK before the majority
The poll,
Catholic
yeah.
Gen Z thing happened in the US. So I think they're on the trajectory that maybe in a generation or two, the monarch of the UK could be Catholic. But who knows? Like if the royal family, if the Gen Z folks in the royal family are, um, being exposed to these kinds of ideas on the internet, then it's likely.
We got Haley coming in with yeah, but Mary and Jesus are downloading into Muslim brains in the Middle East from heaven. You know, it is funny. Like I keep seeing these statistics that mosques are getting shut down because
Yeah.
there's so much conversion to Catholicism and Christianity. I'm all
50,000
for it. I hope
mosques.
it's true. I hope it's true.
Yeah, I believe it's 50,000 mosques in Iran got shut down. But I think we have to be cautiously optimistic because in Iran, according to anonymous polls, the majority of people there are not Muslim. I think only 40% are Muslim, but the other 60% are not Christian. It's only like maybe 2 or 4% that are Christian there or something like that in Iran. So,
It's a low
um,
percentage.
yeah, so it's still pretty low. There's still a lot of evangelization to do, and unfortunately, I think the Protestants tend to get there first as of late. Um, so that's something that needs to be worked on. I think there's I don't know a lot about the inner workings of how like Catholic churches work in the Middle East. I know that there are Catholic churches in the Middle East, but I think they tend to be uh, less outgoing about like evangelization and stuff. So I
Well,
think that needs to
for
change.
many, many, many years, and you probably know this, but I'm preaching to the choir. But for many years, you could be Catholic in a Muslim country, but if you converted a Muslim to Catholicism, it was death penalty.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, so they're trying. the Catholic churches there try to be very low key and not try to evangelize because they know that if the government gets wind of that, that church is going away. They're going to get shut down, and the priest is going to get, you know, disappeared or whatever. But it's just like, and then like obviously I'm not in that situation, so who am I to tell them what to do? But it just doesn't seem like the Protestants are finding a way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you've heard Ishmael Yusuf's interview on Pints, where his English teacher, who was there on a visa from I think it was from America or somewhere, he was like telling the kids in their class about Jesus, and then he ended up getting, I think he got kicked out of the country or something. But like, people are doing it. They're evangelizing, even in places where it's dangerous. So I don't know. We need more
Fearless
boldness, I guess.
fearless
Yeah.
people who are ready to be martyrs, honestly. I mean, sadly, that's what it's going to take in Muslim countries, is people willing to be martyrs for the faith. And that's what we're seeing in parts of Africa. I mean, really, the saddest thing about America is that you have people willing to be martyrs in other countries, and they come here and they live lavish lifestyles when they get exposed to American Western materialistic ideals, and they lose their faith. There was a Chinese immigrant, I think it was Chinese, either Russian or Chinese, came over from, you know, communist, whatever. And they lived underground in their faith over there and came over here and lost their faith in Western civilization.
Wow. That's
I think Bishop
unfortunate,
Barron
but
talks
it
about
also,
that.
okay. That's like an interesting thing to think about. Like it's harder to keep your faith in a country where it's perfectly legal, but you have more comforts than it
Yeah.
is to keep your faith in a country where life is harder and your faith is illegal.
Well, there's more suicide here too. People have no
Yeah,
purpose. Probably just
true.
demoted this whole video off YouTube on that one, but saying that word.
I've said
But
worse.
yeah. But it was getting the promotion from Google for being anarcho-communist discussion. And now I'm getting the
Yeah.
D-boost from that.
Well, we said pro-life earlier, so they're probably like, "Ah."
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about all of that is, I mean, really, when the church was underground was when it was growing the most. That was the early Christian church. I mean, people were willing to die for their faith any day of the week. There's super strong faith. I've read Butler's Lives of the Saints, parts of it anyways. That's a lot of, it's like 3,000 plus pages of saints. Pretty crazy. At least the latest edition from the 50s. The amount of people who died just horrible ways is just astounding.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wonder if the reason that there are a lot of more conversions during times of persecution is because people see these Christians being willing to die for something, and they kind of like want that. They're like, oh, I don't believe in
That
anything like
purpose,
that
right?
strongly. Yeah. But that it's a beautiful thing when you see people who have a belief that they're willing to die for, and you're like, oh, I want my life to have a purpose like that. And then they go and convert and probably die too. But it's interesting.
There are only 9 views and 7 likes. What are you two doing? That's funny.
Like
what do you mean by my people? Haley's coming in with the Tropic Thunder quote. Oh my goodness. Yeah, long story short though, I think it all has to do with that quote. I think Jesus says it. I'm blanking. It's been a minute since I've looked it up, but it's like it's easier for the poor person to get to heaven than the rich person. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing.
It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to get to heaven.
That's just a commentary on our society in general. Just literally living in the richest country on the planet, right?
Yeah. And it's so funny because when I was a Protestant, pastors would, as soon as that verse came up, pastors would get really uncomfortable and they would start to try to talk around it. And they'd be like, well, you know, when Jesus says the camel going through the eye of the needle, he's not talking about like a literal, like a needle for sewing. He was talking about there was a gate that goes into the city and they called that the eye of the needle. And so a camel had a really hard time getting into that. And it's just like, this is a weird thing that you're really hung up on.
I mean, I've heard Catholic priests talk about that too.
Okay, well, forget what I'm saying then. But
no, I mean, no, it is true though that is what it, like the eye of the needle is where it's like if a merchant showed up at past curfew for a town, then especially Jerusalem, they had this small passage and it was very difficult to get camels through it. And so merchants who would come in after dark would have to go use that particular path to get in, and it was painful. You did
Yeah.
not want to be that guy doing that. And
All right, well,
if you're a rich person, try and get your entire caravan through it. Not happening.
right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. But it's just funny that whenever, like, especially if you see like mega church pastors and they come across
they
these
love
verses,
to talk about it as if it's no big deal.
yeah, they're like, well, he says that the love of money is the root of all evil, not that money is the root of all evil. And so, as long as I don't
That's
love my money too much, then
but
I can still
most
have
of
a
them
ton
are
of it.
hypocrites on that exact sentiment.
Yeah.
Joel
Yeah.
Osteen, smiling with his I'm going to use a word that most people that aren't millennials would not even understand what I'm talking about, but the grills, smiling through his grills. You know what I'm talking about when I say grills?
No.
You don't know it? No. I just used a millennial reference on a millennial that didn't get it. The rappers used to always wear like the gold teeth.
Oh, okay.
The raps.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on.
I just wanted to make you feel old.
Thanks. I'm only 2 years older than you. Oh my goodness. That is another point that I think is interesting. The prosperity gospel doesn't work for Catholicism at all.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting thing because coming from Protestantism, especially like very modern Protestantism, like non-denominationalism, to Catholicism, there's actually a value in Catholicism of poverty, where it's like poverty isn't seen as something that's gross or a sign of judgment from God or something. It's actually like, yeah, you should, like, you don't have to, like, obviously have the means to support your family, but
Right.
you shouldn't be striving to have that nice car. You shouldn't be striving to have that 3-story house with a pool or something. Like, that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be to support your family, to give them what is necessary, but then to give excess to the poor. And yeah, and I never saw that mentality represented in non-denominational land.
Yeah, I actually think the prosperity gospel, you could easily kill it off with one quote from scripture. I like to use this one. It's like 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
Judas was the first prosperity gospel preacher.
Well, maybe if God is giving me this, it's because he's blessing what I'm doing, and therefore I should.
Right. Yeah, the Sanhedrin literally paid him to out the Son of God. First prosperity gospel preacher right there, Judas. Yeah, that's my personal opinion. Not everybody has to. You don't have to access. What is it? You don't have to accept that as a dogma because it's not one. But that's what I believe firmly. He's the first prosperity gospel, because I don't know how you make money grifting off the church without having some form of the betrayal of Jesus on your soul.
Yeah,
that's my personal.
No, that's
opinion.
true. I've never thought about it that way until you just said that, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. There's a beautiful prayer.
And I listen to like Kenneth Copeland, and it's like, that guy is wild.
Oh yeah.
You ever listen to that dude?
Yeah. I don't listen to him, but I see scary videos of him for sure. But it's like what I love about Catholicism is, well, many things, but especially on this, there's an emphasis on like what I see in the Litany of Humility, of like, you're actually not supposed to try to make yourself big and like better than other people and try to, flaunt what you have and whatever. You're supposed to actually make yourself more lowly than other people. You're supposed to think of yourself as less than other people. And it's like, we should all know that, because that is exactly what Jesus says. Like, whoever wants to be greatest has to be the servant of all. But I feel like I never kind of got that message before when I wasn't in Catholicism. And especially with the culture around us, it's like everything is about making yourself better than other people and having more than other people. And I don't know.
Yeah, when people get boastful about like, I have this and keeping up with the Joneses and all that, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Although, given the popularity of Alex Jones, maybe they want to pick a different name than keeping up with the Joneses, because he's got an interesting following. But anyway, I digress. The idea that you have to have more than somebody else, I mean, that's just really, any reading of the gospel would tell you that's wrong. One of my favorite aspects about John the Baptist is, imagine there's this guy goes out to the River Jordan and tells people to like repent get right with God, and I baptize you. And it's like, that doesn't sound like the type of thing you want to go do in the wilderness with some crazy guy named John the Baptist. That
Who
sounds
eats
like
locusts?
the only way that you do that is if God is calling you there,
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then I mean, even there's like people who will get boastful about the connections they have, and like, oh well, I whatever, I don't know, like career wise, career stuff gets very weird, and like people trying to get higher rank than other people, and it's just like all weird. I don't know.
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
like it.
it's funny that you mentioned that. My wife and I had a conversation about this recently. I used to do that a little bit with my old podcast. I was guilty of it. I fully admit
Oh,
that I
dude,
was
same.
guilty of it. But what's interesting is when you look up the intelligence of conversation, it's actually when you get down to just who knows who in a conversation, like, I know this person, that makes me cool. That is like the lowest form of intellectual conversation you can have. Like, they've studied it.
Really?
It's the least intellectual conversation you could have.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, because it really is just like, I know this guy, and it's okay.
Are you
So
like
does
his
his mom,
friend,
but
or
like, who
yeah,
cares?
right. Oh my goodness. Like that, it's funny because like I know a lot of people that talk that way. Like, they know
Yeah,
people. Like, cool, people.
yeah.
Awesome.
I mean,
Do you
I know
know
Matt
anything
Frad,
about
so
them? Do you know anything about
yeah.
these people that you're talking about?
I mean, I know Matt Frad, so
Well, yeah. You're
I'll call
you're
him up right now, and we talk every night. No, I'm just kidding. We don't.
Can you compete with Drinks with Dominic though? I mean, come
I mean, that's true. That's true.
on.
Drinks
That
with
was one
Dominic
of
is pretty good.
that was one of the thoughts I had for starting this podcast with Drinks with Dominic. I was like, no, that's too tropesy. People already
I
do
like
this
it
thing.
though, because Saint Dominic is he's where we got the rosary from. Well, we got it from Mary, but she gave it to
Yeah.
him. That's dope.
I thought no, I'm thinking of the other one, the one I wear, the oh my gosh. I'm blanking on it. Simon Stock. Now I feel stupid. I
That's
literally
okay.
wear this thing around my neck, and I can't think of the name of it. That is sad.
It's okay.
Yeah, it
I'm
is. It
stupid
is
too,
okay.
man. We'll just be stupid together.
We'll just be stupid together. I love it. I love it. Now, no, I got to look this up because Cameron Riker is gonna have a field day with me, but I can't think of what this is called. He
Dude,
literally defended it too. Have you ever talked to Kevin Nontrat? Now I'm doing the who do you know? But have you ever talked to that guy, Kevin Nontradikath? That's what he goes by on YouTube.
I oh yeah, a little bit. I mean, he I don't know. He'll argue with me sometimes, or not argue, but he'll like actually in the comments sometimes. So I'm just like, nah.
The scapular.
Yes. Okay. I thought that's what you were talking about, but yeah, awesome. I love
I
it.
literally, I was blanking. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm wearing it around my neck, and I can't think of the name of it. That is just sad. That is really funny story. One of our children was born on the feast day of Saint Simon Stock.
Okay.
And his name is Simon. So there's that.
That's dope.
And we had that name picked out before he was born. That we literally had that name picked out before he was born.
Okay.
So
nice.
And what funny story. This kid, I mean, he's wonderful, but he runs around and steals his brothers and sisters' scapulars because he's like not old enough to actually make a pledge to like the brown scapular.
Got it.
But he has a love of the scapular. It's just bizarre.
Okay, can we talk about this? Because this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I don't know enough about the scapular. I've talked a little bit about it with Cameron, but like, what is it, and why would I do it, and should I do it? And
it's another devotion of the church, and
yeah.
it carries with it some weight on your salvation. Like if you're wearing it and say bad things happen to you, the likelihood of your salvation goes up quite a bit. Put it that way.
Okay.
So like from a purely statistical, if you just want to look at it from a purely statistical perspective, every devotion you do is going to increase your chances of salvation because it's literally indulgence and that kind of stuff.
Indulgence maxing.
Yeah, like there's no reason not to unless you like have an issue with the devotion.
Right. No, and I know like Protestants are gonna hear that and be like, so you think we're saved by praying the rosary or wearing the scapular? But no, I know that it's that these things actually have spiritual benefit such that
Yeah,
you convert more by doing these things. Like it strengthens your conversion and therefore you are more likely to repent of your sins and to take these things seriously and like that's what it is. It's like something strengthening your spiritual life, not like, oh, you murdered a bajillion people, but you wore the scapular while you did it, so you're good.
that's not how that
It's not
works.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, well,
it's
think about
like
it
no
this way:
wearing.
if you're spending 20 minutes a day praying the rosary, that's
Mhm.
20 minutes a day you're not doing something stupid.
It's so true.
Just
That is
flat
so
out.
true.
If you want to just look
Can I
at your,
steal that and tweet that?
yeah, yeah, you
I'm gonna
can.
tweet that right now.
You absolutely can.
I'll
So like,
quote you. I'll quote you.
Anthony's gonna have a field day with that one anyway. But seriously, even if you just look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, so even if you consider these prayers a waste of time, that's 20 minutes that you're not doing something stupid or sinful, just flat out.
True. Okay, I'm just writing it out so that I don't forget how you worded it because I think the wording was brilliant.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
so, so yeah, like I've thought a lot about the scapular. I do like I love Mary. I think that she's the reason that I'm Catholic, and so I want to have as much devotion to her as possible. And I think the scapular is a great way to do that. But I also don't want to jump into it and then realize like maybe I don't like wearing this thing every day and maybe I'm itchy and I don't want to wear it or maybe I lose it and then I'm going to end up like
No, you
doing
can always get
something.
you can get another one blessed and use a new one. You don't have to maintain the same one. Coolest thing about the one I wear though is it literally has like the rosary built in.
That's dope.
So like it's literally a scapular and a rosary mixed.
So like can you take it off to shower
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
okay.
God's not going to hold you to the you have to wear something at all times where you might actually ruin it by doing so. That would just be silly.
Okay, yeah. That's what I mean, that's my
It's not
concern
like
is like
Samson's hair. God's not saying don't cut your hair for the rest of your life.
yeah. I just don't want to start doing it and then like back out of it midway through. I hate doing that. So like yeah, I want to do if I'm going to do it, I want to do it, you know.
So what you need to do to be enrolled in the brown scapular, just for anybody who's curious, you need to work with your priest. And not all priests are even, devoted to the brown scapular, but if you do find somebody that is a priest that is, consult with them. They will help you through the discernment of whether you should wear one or not. And I don't see a downside, really. That's just my whole thought process with it.
It makes a lot of sense. You're convincing me.
The only, like, there are requirements if you're like in a Carmelite order or something like that, where it's like no meat on this day, do this devotion on that day. But when you work with your priest determines what your level of devotion needs to be part of the brown scapular. So you work that out with your priest and they enroll you.
I want to do like the maximum stuff that you have to do to wear the scapular.
I could send you the link after this pod. I'll send it to you in Discord. It was a really
Please.
like, it's not a long list, but effectively you would change a lot about how you eat and how you do your weekly prayers, and that would be about it.
I love it
because like I already don't eat meat on Wednesdays and Fridays, like generally speaking, so that was not a hard change for me.
I love having rules, man. I love having restrictions and not being able to do things that I otherwise would want to. I love that. I don't know why. It makes me happy.
It builds your willpower. It builds your soul power, as you could call it, I guess. But it's related to what you're willing to go through for your faith.
Yeah, and I think it's because I grew up with not a lot of structure, and so when there's more structure placed on me, I'm like, yes.
Well, it's structure you're willing on yourself.
Right. Yeah.
For your worship of God. It's like the whole phrase "offer it up." That's my father-in-law's favorite thing. Like somebody tells him about some terrible thing that's happening, he just goes, "Offer it up."
I've been doing that a lot too. Maybe not the best thing to do when your wife is pregnant and she's like hungry and you guys are stuck somewhere and she's like yelling at you to get food. You can't, but I have done
probably not.
Just offer it up. Offer it up for the souls in purgatory. She's like, you're going to be a soul in purgatory pretty soon.
Love it. That's amazing. That is amazing. We got a comment here. Brown scapulars peak. I do
So
concur.
true.
Yeah.
What is so that same person said, how many subs does Sarah need before he does a JQ stream? I don't know what JQ means.
I was gonna save you from the embarrassment of explaining the JQ.
Well, now, sorry.
All right. We can address this. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna get banned off YouTube. The JQ is essentially like how do you handle the Jewish question in the Catholic Church? Essentially.
Oh, I've done videos on this.
Have you?
Yeah,
Oh,
go check
okay.
out. I didn't name it. I intentionally named it something that didn't mention Jewish people because I didn't want it to get like beaten up by the algorithm.
Yeah, the
But it
algorithm
was
hates that.
yeah, it was something about like it was like Jack Hibbs. It was a response to Jack Hibbs when he went on Ruslan's podcast because he was talking about
Christian
like
Zionism,
if
or
essentially, yeah, he was
yeah.
like if God abandoned his covenant with those people, the the wonderful Jewish people, then we have to be concerned because he could possibly abandon his covenant with us. And it's like, so I responded to that and I gave a lot of great um, insight that I won't give here for the sake of your stream. But yeah,
Hey, it's not to say we haven't discussed that on my podcast before, but every time we do, the podcast gets buried.
yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just like the quickest way to have nobody ever watch it is to start talking about that. But I always save it. Listen, guys, I am 10% ethnically Ashkenazi Jew. Okay, I'm allowed to talk about these things. 10%.
Nice. Okay, well, I gotta go now, so I'm just kidding.
You're like, see ya.
I'm kidding.
To be fair, like the funny thing is like I've never actually heard a religious Jew call somebody a anti-Semite, but I've heard a lot of secular Jews call people anti-Semites, which is interesting.
Right. And you know why that is? Because I'm gonna get okay. Because people who have a descendancy from those people who don't have any religion still want to feel like they have some kind of root
Connection.
in the faith. And yeah, they want to feel like they have some kind of connection or some deep traditional thing that gives their life meaning, but they don't want to participate in the things that actually give your life meaning because it requires too much of them and they're not willing to commit to that. So they're like, well, if I can use if I can use my racial identity as something to give myself meaning and a victim status, then I'm going to do that. But the people who actually have purpose in their life don't resort to those sort of things. So that's
yeah. And to be fair, like anti-Semitic is not just being against Jewish people. It's like anybody from that area. It's not just the Jews, it's a huge area of people that would be affected by that particular discrimination, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, but we have
it all comes down
as another term.
Islamophobic. Listen, I went to college in Dearborn. Don't tell me I'm Islamophobic. I had an actual death threat when I was in college, believe it or not. It was wild.
No way.
So I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again just for the sake of telling it. Yeah. I was in a chemistry lab, and there was a couple of women in it, mostly men, but there was this one guy who allegedly had a military background. Not really sure if he was military here or military in the Middle East, moved here, whatever, not distinguishing. Okay. But the chemistry teacher, chemistry lab professor had paired me up because they would just move people around at random to get you a feel for all the different students in the class. And I got partnered up with this Middle Eastern woman. And next thing I know, this guy's coming up to me with his fists drawn, telling me he's going to kill me because I can't be partnered with his future bride. And I was like, oh,
interesting.
Are we serious? So I like went over to the professor. I was like, hey, listen, I like your class, but I'm not willing to die for chemistry. Okay. That's not really something I'm open to the idea of. And she goes, what are you talking about? I was like, this guy just threatened to kill me. She's like, what? Yeah. And then she like tried to like, look, I don't know if this woman was a feminist or not, but she clearly was trying to keep me partnered with her just to piss this guy off. And then he put death threats into her. And what happened at the end of this? Well, I was no longer her lab partner. And then that guy was. And I wound up being partnered with somebody else who became a lifelong friend of mine. But that was an
Happy ending there.
odd
Okay.
situation. Well, not for her. Maybe it was for her. I don't know. I don't know how serious she was about her faith before they got together. But
Yeah.
because she
What's
wasn't
crazy
wearing
is
the
like,
traditional garb of Muslim women. She was just fully exposed hair, normal clothes, and the next thing I know,
horrible,
later she's in the burqa.
horrible. What's crazy is like, how does that guy not get arrested?
I know, right?
If he was like some Christian white nationalist guy or whatever, and was like, I don't know, get away from, saying some like racially things, and then like saying get away from my girlfriend or I'm gonna unalive you,
Right? Yeah.
bro, you're under arrest for sure.
Yeah, it really should have been. I mean, I took that up with the dean, and they basically said like, just forget it happened. It's not going to happen again. I was like, we talked to him, and it's all good. It's like, is it though? Like, are you sure? Am
Yeah,
I going to run into this guy and he's going to like shank me or something? Like, are we sure this is okay? But
yeah. Well, at least you
yeah,
know
I mean,
that.
the other weird thing about Dearborn, Michigan, and I can talk about it because I've been there. I didn't live there, but I've spent a lot of time there for my entire college career. And why on earth are Middle Eastern Muslims and Chaldeans moving into the same area? That just makes no sense to me.
That sounds like a fight waiting to happen.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a
That's
ton of
crazy.
them. They both, for some reason, when they come over here, and they eat the same kinds of food. Maybe that's got to do with it. Like the culture surrounding
Mm,
them is very similar. Plus,
yeah.
the United States doesn't tolerate Muslims killing Christians yet.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why. So, like, you can culturally get along in the United States with shared values and shared backgrounds. But I don't
Yeah.
know. If I was a Chaldean moving to the United States, I'm not coming to Dearborn.
No, there's no way. But I mean, maybe it'll have a good effect because maybe the common cultural background will allow the Chaldeans to evangelize to the Muslims like more effectively, and
Maybe.
they'll all convert to Christianity.
I didn't see a lot of that happening. I saw a lot of the Chaldeans having one table in the library and the Muslims kind of surrounding them at all the tables next to them. But
Well, all right.
I mean, I met a lot of wonderful people there, but uh, there was a lot of bad interactions I had with people of differing faiths from mine. We'll say.
Yeah. Well, so you've actually gotten more threats from Muslims than I have.
that's
That's interesting.
that's accurate, but that's because and at the time I wasn't. I would never describe myself as a liberal. I don't think I ever was one, but
What a blessing.
I certainly had a view of like diversity being a strength, and I tried to be friends with everybody at the time. And it was toward the end of my college career that I really found myself strongly Catholic again.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there was one guy. Actually, I got paired up with a Middle Eastern dude in chemistry class as well, and I was like, I don't like this guy. But I was at that time I was very much like pro immigration and pro diversity and all that good stuff. But I was like, I didn't like the guy. He was like really aggressive and mean for no reason.
Okay, so Haley brings up an interesting point. There is an aspect to this that is somewhat true. There was a lot of fights started by Chaldeans, but they also were fighting from their back foot. I mean, you come over here
Mm,
and your family was just killed by Islamic invaders, we'll say, or people who just denounce Christianity in general.
yeah.
And you've got very extreme religious Muslims in Dearborn. And like I said, I don't know why they're moving to Dearborn. I wouldn't do that, but they are. And so when you see that extremism in America and you think that's normalized across the United States, um, you're probably going to feel like you have to fight back.
Yeah.
Plus, they got a chip on their
True.
shoulder from all of the situations in the Middle East. Like, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
so yeah,
True. Shout out Chaldeans.
I made a lot of Chaldean friends actually while I was at University of Michigan Dearborn, and it was.
Nice.
I mean, they're nice people. Especially when you're also Christian or Catholic.
Yeah, that helps.
They take their faith pretty
Nice.
seriously.
Nice.
All right, so we're nearing the end of a 2-hour event. I would love to have you on again, but is there any questions that you have for me?
Um, yes.
Okay.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this?
Why are you doing this? No, like I love shows like what you're doing that are conversations, because I think when people listen to them, they have their guard down a lot more, and even people who disagree with what we might believe are willing to listen because we're just two people and there's a lot more common ground than we might think or whatever. So I think like a lot of times shows like this can be better at evangelization than what I do, because when people watch my videos, they're either like already in agreement with it or they're already in disagreement with it and they're being defensive against it. So I don't know, like I'm interested just like why you started the show and what your goal has been and what are some of the fruits you've seen of it.
I don't know that I have any specific goals with the show. Not statistical goals. That wouldn't be really what I'm going for here. Because if I did have statistical goals, I would have been doing shorts from the get go. Like it's a no brainer. Shorts are how you get people to listen to your podcast. But
Mm,
my goal was mostly for both myself to have conversations with people that actually believe in the faith, because there's a severe lack of that in everyday life, where you just
yeah,
don't find a lot of people that actually believe strongly in your faith. But also, Gen Z, they need things like this at nighttime, when the worst behaviors known to man creep up in your brain before bedtime. And
true.
having something to kind of listen to instead of those types of things, I mean, I think it'd be a huge help. I mean, when I was that age, I could have used a show like this to prevent me from doing stupid things that I was doing at the time. Where, like, okay, I
Yeah,
know that if I just put in my headphones at like 8 o'clock at night on a weekday, on a Monday, I can listen to 2 hours of Catholics talking, as opposed to all of the abhorrent behavior on the internet.
that is very true. Yeah, if you listen to Crash Canon every Monday, that's 2 hours that you're not doing something stupid and sinful.
Yeah, it works with my rosary comment.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
if for
That's
no
great.
other reason, you're preventing yourself from doing something stupid.
That's great. I love
So
it.
that's part of it. I mean, I had to think this out, because Taylor Marshall asked me the same thing. He's like, "This is a great show. Why are you doing it?"
Yeah,
It's like, oh, good call. I probably should have a reason for why I do what I do. But I think it is mostly just to help the younger generation both find their faith, hear people who live their faith, and give them a time block where they don't have to worry about, doing other things that they shouldn't be doing anyway.
nice.
And
Awesome.
I get to know
Have
a lot of
you
cool people, like yourself,
Yeah.
like Taylor Marshall, like the Avoiding Babylon guys. I know everybody loves them, but I think they're awesome in a lot of ways.
I will say
Kyle Whittington.
Anthony's X account is one of the funniest accounts I follow. So gotta shout him out for that.
I love his Thief on the Cross commentary. That's like his best, where he's like, the thief on the cross was saved by the intercession of Mary. It
Yes,
turns out like either a 9th or 11th century mystic of the church said the same thing, and it's like, whoa.
dude, 100%. I love it. And then I love when he's like, he'll repost a video of like some Catholics in Spain doing something crazy. He's like, if we did this in America, every single Protestant would
Yeah.
convert.
Oh
Like,
my
yes,
goodness.
I love
Yeah,
it.
by the way, if you like the AB intros, I know who you can thank for those. Just not gonna say it on stream. I don't know if you've ever watched their program consistently at all.
I've watched, I think I think I watched their Christian Wagner episode that they had recently. Or this was maybe a
Okay.
month or two ago, but not I'm not a consistent viewer. I just enjoy their X commentary.
I used to be more of a. It's funny, like you think about how much viewing of content you did before you started your own channel, and it's like that has
Yes,
done one of these. Like, I don't watch
yes,
nearly as much Catholic content as I used to,
same.
because we're living in it. You know what I mean? Saint Anthony of the
Yeah.
X spaces. Gosh.
Okay, I see the intro now.
Yeah, the intros are hilarious. Oh my goodness. The guy that does them, he's a funny guy, very funny guy. But long story short, like there's just some bangers. Like they did one, it was like Can't Touch This, where they were like everybody that ever went after Taylor Marshall basically saw their eventual downfall later on. I
Yeah.
really think it's funny to, okay, maybe you have an opinion on this. I think addressing people publicly is a bad way to handle bad behavior, unless that's the only option.
Yeah. It depends too. Like, I don't feel an inclination to call out people's bad personal behavior on the internet. I don't know why they would listen to me over like their conscience or their priest or their family or something.
Right.
So I don't feel like it's my obligation to be like, hey, this thing that you do in your personal life is immoral, even if I think it is immoral.
Right.
I'm much more interested in having conversations on like people's beliefs that are false. Like, hey, this thing you believe is false, and we can argue about it.
Yeah.
But I like, bro, every like, and that's not to excuse sinful behavior or say that it's not significant, but I just don't feel like they're gonna like. Why would they listen to me? They don't even like. They've never talked to me in their entire life.
You really can't give the charitable fraternal correction to strangers. Like it just doesn't work. I try to explain this to people. I'm like, you can dunk on a Protestant all day long for bad sinful behaviors, and they will never listen to you.
No, and
because they don't know you, and they don't know that you have their best interest in mind. Why would they listen to you? But if you befriend somebody, you may have a working relationship, a friendship with them. Like I pray every day that maybe Matt Fradd will have some effect on Ben Shapiro, and maybe he'll find his way to the church. But Matt, I was already praying for Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh to have that same effect on him. So who knows? But I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think that correcting somebody like that is going to be effective.
Yeah, and then if you do something that you know is not going to be effective, then you're probably just doing it for the clicks, for the views.
Yeah,
because those will get a lot of views for sure.
Yeah, I can think of a few YouTubers that made quite a big gain in subscribers over calling out people publicly.
Yeah.
Now, I do think there is a necessary fraternal correction.
And
I do think that the gentlemen at Avoiding Babylon have a good track record of fraternal correction on their podcast. But yeah, Haley brings up a good point. This is the whole purpose of the Catholic Creators Conference. Shout out to Kyle. Shout out to that, just the work him and Drew do. Shout out to Drew. My goodness, I always shout out Kyle. Shout out to Drew as well. Those guys made a super cool event for people like Adrian, myself, Christian Wagner now too.
Yeah, and they're the reason that I got connected with everybody in their Discord and everything. When I was first starting out, I think I had like 3,000 subscribers, and then like Haley got in touch with me and Kyle got in touch with me. Kyle called me. The first time I talked to Kyle was he called me after I had a conversation with this Protestant lady on my YouTube channel, and he was like, "Hey man, that didn't go very well for you. I think she kind of wiped the floor with you. Maybe you should not do debates just yet." And I was like, "Nice to meet you too, man."
That was the first conversation. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, my first conversation. You know what's funny is Kyle was the first interview on this channel, but I had no idea. Like, I had mistaken him for somebody else. That's the funny part. I don't know if I've told this one public. I think I said it to Drew. I don't remember if I told it publicly, but
that's hilarious.
I messaged Kyle because I thought he was somebody in one of my Facebook groups, on one of my Catholic Facebook groups. I was like, oh, this guy I know also does like this Catholic Creators Conference. I got to interview him. That's super cool. And then I looked back at all the Facebook groups I was in. He wasn't in them. Literally just wasn't there. I was like, what the heck? Where did, like, either God was like, you need to be stupidly divine intervention here, where Kyle is going to be the first guest on your podcast and magically that's going to work out. Or it was just a matter of happenstance.
I mean, how was that episode? Was it super awkward?
I don't think it was that awkward. But here's the other thing. I had been podcasting for over 5 years by the time I started this one.
Okay.
So like I wouldn't say I'm like a professional conversationalist, but I know how to keep a podcast going.
Oh, I can tell that for sure.
You're pretty good with the rebuttals though, Adrian. There you go. Danny's giving you some shout outs here.
Well, yeah, hopefully I've gotten better since back then. I mean, yeah, that was like a few months after my confirmation, so maybe I had no business doing anything at that point anyways, but yeah, I think that conversation went well for me on most topics, but on the papacy, I was like very unprepared for some of the questions that came up, so I think I looked like an idiot for sure.
Got a friend of the channel, Albaleo. Actually, there's a few, not many, but a few channels, friends of my old channel that came with me over here to continue with this content. Albaleo is one of them. Shout out to him. But a private conversation would most likely help someone absorb an argument and not just hear it. When it's public, you get too many other voices, like a riled up crowd. I do agree with that, and generally speaking. And it kind of is aligned with what we said earlier. So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
to answer your question in the whole of the question where you asked me why I'm doing this, it's so that people can both, one, humanize the content creator behind the content. Not that you need that because your content is pretty humanized already, but like, for example, I don't think I saw any other podcast that interviewed convinced Catholicism, and I really enjoy his content, and I was hoping that we could, you know, humanize what the person behind that camera that does all the reviews of Catholic materials and media. That's another reason why I do it. I just enjoy those types of conversations. So
Nice. Awesome.
Anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, let's talk about the JQ. I'm just kidding. No. No, I think we covered it, man. This was a great time.
Yeah, we got to do it again. I'll definitely get you an invite again in about 6 months or so when I remember to reschedule people again.
I'm down.
I like to put at least a little bit of a gap between so the conversation doesn't turn into the exact same conversation twice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we'll be able to talk about fatherhood next time. That'll be fun. Yes.
That's true.
We definitely got to do it again. Find out how Adrian's doing 6 months in.
I'll just come back like all tattered and like half awake. Like, I haven't slept in 6 months.
I haven't slept in a decade, man.
Oh no.
Well, then you keep having kids, you keep not sleeping.
True. It's worth
it. All
it.
right. Yeah, well, we'll come back 6 months in. Adrian's advice for expecting fathers.
There we go.
Don't forget me at number 100. Oh, yeah, because Danny was on for episode 50. He's like, how could you pick me for episode 50? This is important for your podcast. I'm like, Danny, you are important for my podcast. Anyway.
That's sweet.
He will cancel because the kid is colicky. That's possible. I've never had to do that, thankfully, but I know people that have. It gets a little difficult when your kid's not letting you sleep and somebody's like, hey, come on my podcast. It's like, how about you let me sleep?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how both of us are doing at that point.
Right. On that note, though, everybody say some prayers for Adrian and his wife and their future child, and or the birth of their child, I should say. And look forward to seeing what you do between now and then, and looking forward to it. Saying I will also join the team of saying prayers for you guys. So
thanks, man. I'll pray for you guys as well. I know that you've got a little bit of a flow down now. Like, you've done this a few times.
It's different with every kid. Still. It really is.
Really?
Yeah. You feel like you're a pro, and then every kid throws a sideways glance at you. And you're like, what the heck?
They keep it interesting. Yeah,
they do. Absolutely. Every kid is. That's why I'm just gonna keep saying that. Haley can back me up on this. Every kid that you have will be completely different.
Great. Love it.
On that note, guys, thanks for joining us for this stream, and I hope you got something out of it. I know I did. I enjoyed talking to Adrian. And if you're somehow one of my subscribers that's not a subscriber of SIPS with SERRA, go subscribe. Do it.
What are you doing?
Your life will be vastly improved. Go subscribe to what he's doing, and maybe you might even stop watching my content because his is very good. But in the meantime,
better not
subscribe to both. And
yeah,
we'll see you guys next Monday. I'm gonna see if I can announce who it is. I'm trying to remember who I had coming on next. Oh, we got Deutero Comical coming on next week.
No way.
Provided he didn't forget about it. But
that's possible.
That's who we've got scheduled on my list here. I'm very official with it too. It's just a
Nice.
notepad on my phone.
That's
So,
exciting, man. He's kind of elusive, so that's good.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it, getting into the Catholic comedian circles. It'll be fun. But all right, guys, on that note, make sure you guys subscribe to his channel, my channel, and look forward to some shorts where you can digest some shorter versions of this podcast in the future. But
There
on
we
that
go.
note, I'm going to roll the outro. And unless you want to shout anything out before we kill this broadcast, I'm going to do it now.
Pray the rosary.
Yes, absolutely. I know that Become the Night will appreciate, Michael Caprice will appreciate you saying that. All right, guys, that's all I've got. And I'm not going to keep rambling or I'll do it all night. So see you guys on the next one.